Hi everyone, this is AutoML training community meeting on 17th of April. Hello everyone, I just want to remind you this meeting will be recording and published on YouTube, and this meeting is governed by the Kubeflow Code of Conduct. So I think we can start this meeting with quick introduction. Maybe we can spend 5 minutes to introduction if we have new members in the community here on this call. So maybe I can start. My name is Andrei. I've been working in the Kubeflow community for the last 6 years, mostly maintaining training operator on KT project, but been involved with a lot of other development. And right now I'm part of the Kubeflow steering committee. Do you have anyone else here on the call who just want to introduce himself?
Yeah, I can introduce myself. So I'm Francisco. I recently joined Red Hat. I was previously at a firm. I'm a maintainer for Feast. And so one of the things that we had talked about briefly before I joined Red Hat was, a better integration between Feast and Kubeflow. I know that some of that work is a little bit outstanding, and I think that there was a separate conversation I had with somebody else in the Kubeflow community. So I'm really excited about having some more of that conversation. But for today, I'm really hoping to learn a little bit more about Kubeflow training and help the community wherever I can.
Amazing, thank you, Francisco.
I can go next. So I'm Anish. I'm also from Red Hat. I've been circling around a little bit over the last few months, years. Recently, I've been working on distributed workloads and so stuff like Ray, Codeflare. And most recently, I'm actually starting to focus on Kubeflow pipelines and really how do we make that experience smoother for all of our users.
Great, thank you.
I can speak. My name is Jim Bush. I'm with IBM, and I work, hand in hand with Anish at Red Hat, and also with Ted Cheng at IBM. And we're most interested today about a couple of issues that we've noticed. We're working with watsonx, trying to get Kubeflow working properly, and noticing some snags with it. So I want to talk about that.
Nice to meet you, James.
Thank you.
I'll go next. My name is Ted. I work for IBM, particularly in open source that IBM is using. Currently, we are using the Kubeflow. We run some training jobs, so I'm interested to join this meeting to talk about a couple of problems that we are seeing right now.
Great, nice to meet you.
I think we met before a couple weeks ago.
I remember.
Yeah.
Okay, I can read the next. Hello, I'm Ricardo Martinetti. I am from Red Hat. Actually, I'm a main contributor of the pipelines working group, but I'm here especially because since I'm part of the Kubeflow 1.9 release team and as part of as the release manager, I'm just here to listen more about the updates from the working group and see how things are going on for our upcoming 1.9 release. Thank you.
Thank you, Ricardo.
I can go next. Myself, Ajay, I'm currently working as a working group liaison for training operator and KTIP. I'm part of Flow committee from past 1 year. I have contributed to conformance of Kubeflow test, conformance test of Kubeflow as well.
Thank you, Jay. All right, I think we can get started then. So I think we have a few items in the agenda. So do we want to start with the release? I know we have like some release team here. Maybe we can quickly go through the items and ask to specific questions. So Ajay or Ricardo, do you have anything you want to discuss right now? Any blockers from training or operator or KTIP side?
Hi, Andre. Yeah, so I see a few issues are still open from KTIP side. things looks good from training operator side. I think remaining issues are most of the documentation issues, so that we can tackle later as well. But
Right.
if you can share your screen and open Catib roadmap.
Yeah, sure. Let's quickly go through these items. Just a second. So yeah, looking for the release for 1.8 we almost like complete everything. I still need to submit the PR for this new fine-tuning API architecture on the docs. I think I will do it probably this one early next week, and we will work with Stefano to improve the documentation side to explain this new feature and how people can use it. We already have a working notebooks, so people can try out this new fine-tuning APIs for LLMs. I think other things we've done. So I wouldn't say huge thank you for you, Yuki. You've done an amazing job for this validation webhooks. And I guess like we don't have any other pending items that we need to improve from the backend side. From the Ketsi perspective, I think for 0.17, I still need to, we still have some pending PRs like this unit testing and the gRPC2. So right now, do we have, yeah, go ahead, Ajay.
No, I'm not saying anything.
Okay. So I think we have this PR from Shashank. Do we have Shashank on the call right now?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, I just want to ask you, so in terms of the timeline, do you have a bandwidth to actually make this complete our comments so we can include this in the release?
Yeah, I'm a little unclear on how to mark an experiment for the so there was a get experiment method in the training
Mhm.
in the that that condition.
So any specific questions you have to address the comment that we added to your PR?
No, not any specific
Okay.
question, but I'll I have some changes in my local repo, so I'm about to push them, and then I will discuss on doing it.
Well, all right. I think it would be nice if you can at least like comment to let us know like about the timeline. So whether we need to postpone it or like we want to include it in the next RC, like release candidate. So just please comment on the PR at least, like so we can get the visibility in terms of the timeline you need to complete it. All right. Sounds great. Thank you. Yes, and I think we have another issue, another PR to replacing the gRPC tool for gRPC API generation. I think this one from Shiva, right? I'm not sure if he's on the call right now. Yeah, so I saw the comments about like the generation script. So let's see if we can complete this. Otherwise, we can just make a first RC for Katip and then include these features to the next RC or postpone it to the next release. Yeah, on the other side, I think we're looking good. So yeah, go ahead, Ajay.
This there's one more issue at pre-commit hooks, right?
Yes, and this is I think from Alex, right? Yeah, I just don't have enough bandwidth to review it. Yuki, what do you think like in terms of like merging this PR before the release?
Yeah, so yeah, I think we can merge this PR for post
All right.
next code release. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, let me make a note here. So I will ask Alex if we can complete this before next release. Otherwise, yes, we will just postpone it because this PR will be open for a while, like from November 2023. We just don't have bandwidth to merge it. So let's see. Any other questions for the release?
Yeah, one more question. So, I believe we will need to cut RCs so that release team can sync those and start testing.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you have any timeline in your mind? Like when can we have RCs at RC0 for both?
Yes. So can you remind me like when we start testing, manifest testing? It's on Monday, right? It was 2 days ago, right?
Maybe Ricardo can give more idea about that. But feature freeze was on Monday, and as per the timelines, I think we should start syncing manifest and start testing RC0.
Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah.
Anything you want to add, like on the timelines?
Yeah, so I think like from my perspective for Katip, I can definitely cut the RC. For training operator, I really want to include this bug that we recently identified with the restart policy, like exit code that we want to discuss with IBM folks right now on the call. So I think like if we can relatively soon fix this PR, I would love to include this in the first RC, this bug fix. And then we can start do testing. Yuki, from your perspective, like what do you think about the cutting the first RC?
So regarding Cartib,
Mhm.
so we can cut the RC version before pre-commit
Mhm.
the PRs. So after cutting RC zero version, so I can move forward pre-commit the PRs, and after pre-commit PR is merged, so we can cut the RC1 version.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, I
So
have the
yeah,
same thought, but on training operator, what is your perspective on fixing this restart policy in the first RC? Sorry, not restart policy. Yeah, restart policy on exit code. I'm talking about this bug, right, that we identified.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we need to like see how much time it requires for us to fix it. I know like we have some proposals, but if we just need one more day to fix it, I think that would be good to include it in the first RC. Otherwise, we can fix this bug in the RC1, right? So maybe let's discuss this once we go to this topic with IBM folks basically who are on the call right now, and maybe we can make a decision, right?
Makes sense.
Agree.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for the release from the community?
Nothing from my side as of now.
Yeah, I do have a last one. Just briefly asking here, are we good to have RC0 for training operator and cat for next Monday for our feature freeze?
Yeah. So today's Wednesday. I think like by Monday next week, I think we can do definitely, Ricardo.
Okay, I'm cool with that. It looks like following RCs, the same as the general Kubeflow distribution. I believe your plan is to have the final release for training operator 1.8 and Cat 0.17 when we
Yeah.
got the final release of 1.9.
Yes, that's right. So Katip will be 0.17 and training operator 1.8. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, sure. So we can, I think, also like merge out other PRs in the RC1 or other like bug fixes we're going to identify. Okay, I think we can move on. So since we kind of discussed this restart policy issue, maybe we can move on to the specific topics around exit code. So do you want to give any context, maybe you, Ted, or anyone else from IBM for this issue?
Yeah, I can do.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can give you some context. Yeah, so so those issues are opened by Kelly, right? But she cannot join today, so I'm gonna
Okay.
present it on behalf of her. So the context is that we are running training jobs with PyTorch jobs, right? So and we want to control when the job should be restarted, right? If it's a user error, the pod should not be restarted, right? And the PyTorch job should go into a failure state. So that's one condition. And the other condition is if it's a system error, the pod should be restarted, right? However many times, according to the back-off limit. So here's the problem we are seeing, right? So we set the restart policy with exit code, and we purposely set to some exit code equal to user error. Let's say exit code 2, right? Something less than 128 is a user error, and the pod should go into error state, right? So that does work correctly, but here's the problem: the PyTorch job state stuck in restarting forever. So that's one problem we are seeing, right? So the PyTorch job state should go into failure, right? It's not the case. It just stuck in restarting forever. So that's one issue. And then the second issue is the back-off limit, right? The back-off limit is something like if we set the exit code greater than 128, right? Then it's a system. Then it's considered a system error, right? Then the pod should restart by itself, right? But the back-off limit, let's say I set the back-off limit to 1, right? The pod should restart just once, right? But it doesn't restart once. It's stuck forever. It keeps restarting forever. It doesn't honor the back-off limit. So that is the second problem that we're seeing. Yeah, so that's basically the context.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think so. So you could just correct me if I'm wrong, but I guess like one fix should be very simple to implement, but the back-off limit problem requires some API changes, right? Or I'm missing something in terms of the impact.
Is it a question for me or for
I think it's a question to Yuki. Like we discussed this offline in terms of the fix for these two issues,
Yeah,
right?
so the current behavior is similar to batch job, portfolio policy action ignore. So this is correct behavior. So if we want to finish based on exit code, so we need to add another API similar to batch job.
Yep. What portfolio policy, right?
Yeah, portfolio policy. So I think we have no enough time for the next training operator release. So I think we should postpone to the after the next release.
Yeah, so I think like this is so let's maybe first of all talk about like this the real bug, right? So the one that you mentioned at around incorrect restart when the pod has the non-restartable exit code, right? So we don't really check them on the controller right now, I guess, right? And we, despite on the exit code, we always restart the pod, right? So I think like if we include this check that if exit code is less than, I believe, 1 to 8, right? We won't restart the pod, right? So we will put the job in the failure state. I guess this is the change that is required, right, in the controller to make that work correctly. Is it right?
Yes. But so I only quickly review this proposed solution. So maybe we need to more investigate for more data. Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess, yeah, go ahead. Do you want to add something?
I was just gonna ask, like, I mean, like we could try implementing something here, and then like, as part of reviewing, maybe something pops up. But like, if you think there's nothing immediately wrong about this approach, we can have someone take a stab at like implementing it. I don't know. 'Cause I
I
know you
guess
folks are quite busy.
yeah.
But
So in terms of the I guess like, so Anish, from your perspective, from your like team perspective, like, do you have enough time to fix this? Because this is like very simple, I guess, to fix, right? Just to check the exit code if the restart policy is like equal to exit code, right?
yeah, yeah, I mean, I'm volunteering Ted for this, but I think so. I think we definitely can. So if this approach sounds good to you, we can take a stab at that.
Yeah, I don't see a reason to not like adding. So any concerns from your side, Yuki, to just check like if exit code is less than 128 to not restart the
No,
pod?
but so
Mhm.
so yes, after maybe after I checked submitted the PR, maybe I found I will find any problems at that time.
Yeah, but the problems mean the CI/CD or what problems you're talking about?
Actually, so at some point, we filter out requested job based on restarting condition. So maybe any bad any bad influence on other features.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't see any kind of like, huge impact. So just check like the exit code for pods. Maybe I'm missing something here. We probably need to double check with John as well. But I think like Anish, what you should do, you should send me the PR, and I think we can review it as fast as we can. And then like to see if it actually has any breaking changes to users. But I don't think this is actually a breaking change, because it's just changing like the logic how exit code should work correctly, right? Unless since we don't have pod failure policy, similar to batch job, I think this is the right way initially, right, moving forward.
Yeah, for long-term
Mhm.
solution. So
Mhm.
we need to
Okay.
introduce portfolio process. Yeah.
All
Okay,
right. So
cool. Yeah, so we'll have
go ahead.
someone pick it up and start on the 2044, right? I think that's the right issue I'm thinking
Yeah,
of.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Cool.
Hey, just quick question about
Mhm.
the PR, right? And and where should this logic be added? Could you go back to the right?
Yeah, so I think like so here so I think this is a reconcile loop. So we're updating the job status, right?
Right.
So I guess the suggestion was to edit here if the restart policy is not never, right?
Right.
So
It
maybe we should.
is
Go ahead.
yeah, one thing I'm seeing right now is the pod is not in this scope. The PyTorch job reconciler doesn't have a view into the pod status. Is that something we should bring here, or
Yeah,
we have
basically, yeah, basically you said like we don't really check like the bot statuses right now here in this logic, right?
right? Yeah. So okay, I guess I kind of understand. So I need to bring pod into the reconciler so reconciler can check the pod status here. That's
Yes, and I think yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think I get the idea, right?
Yeah, basically we can list all the pods, right? And maybe we already have this logic somewhere in the I just need to like check it offline if it is like any better place to verify it. So yeah, maybe we can do some some draft PR and then we can work together to see how we can improve it, because I just need to follow up on the code base. Maybe it's because I think we're already watching for reports here in this reconciler. So
Okay.
yeah, it's here basically, right?
Oh, okay.
So
I
we
see.
have a watcher. So yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks. Yeah, that helps. Thank you.
Yeah, and for other issue, I think it's more kind of require more discussion. Because like again, as Yuki said, like we don't have this API right now in terms of the similar to jobs, like the pod failure policy. So I think we were talking about I think Yuki, you linked did you link oh no, you didn't, the documentation. So let me show you quickly. So the jobs has this API called job failure policy, when basically you can specify on which execute you want to like the rules, right? So we just don't have this API in the job in the Python job right now, which means we need to see like what is the steps to make that to make this backoff limits work correctly, right? Does make sense, because like I guess like the backoff limits is like related to job, right? Is it right, Yuki, or you can explain it better? The differences between like backoff limits and pod failure policy.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the current behavior, so
Mhm.
if we set restart policy to exit code, so the Python job controller ignore Python job controller does not count failure pods. So once we introduce action field, so we can handle whether we count failure pods or not. Yes, so
Yeah, so
currently,
yeah.
so backoff limit is ignored.
Yeah, I guess okay. I think we get so Ted, I think that what we need to do on this issue, can you just double check like I mean our suggestion here, and if maybe Kelly or you have like any other follow-ups, we can discuss it further, right? Because I think we need to explain you how this works right now and what changes might be required for APIs to support this, right? Does make sense to you?
Yeah, so yeah, maybe
Mhm.
so as a first step,
Mhm.
we can design an API for this feature.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions, so we can move on to the next items?
One quick question on that, I guess, like when you say like we can find like define the API for it, like would that be we'd love to help on this, right? So like just let us know what we can do to help you on this too, because I think a lot of people on our team are excited to contribute here. So
Yeah, just chiming in here. I'm starting to get ramped up with Kubeflow and the training operator in particular. So there might be a little bit of an investment upfront to help me get started, but I would love to help out and kind of chime in here wherever I can. I'm pretty familiar with Go and Python. I'm not fully familiar with everything else.
Yeah, but I think it should be very simple, like to explain if you know how controller works, right? So we have all of our APIs right now stored in a package APIs, right? So so basically, like we have it's like similar to like job set or job or other like custom resources. We have custom resource for specific, framework type. Like PyTorch, for example, has this set of APIs where we define like the specification, right? Where we have some elastic configuration, some replica configuration. We have some common parameters across all the frameworks, like the pod template spec, right? So when we're speaking about adding new APIs, it means like rather than changing just the controller, we will require to do some changes on the replica spec side, right? So because we restart policy right now, I think it's part of the common APIs. So this is the common types which we use across all the frameworks. And here we have the restart policy spec, right? And we might need to do some changes in the run policy as well to support this feature, right? That is what Yuki are talking about, right? Yuki's talking about. So just to make it similar to portfolio policy for job, right? Like what we have in the native Kubernetes job, right? So
Yes, yes. So maybe so.
Mhm.
So so we can add action field to under the top of spec field.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So let's maybe continue this follow up on this on the issue, like your suggestions and what we can do for 2045 and 2044. Maybe we can like include this fix in the next release, right? So you can take this basically use this as in the next 1.9 release, right? 1.8, sorry. All right, should we move on? Any other questions from your side?
To make the 4.5 into, is this 4.5 or 4.4? Yeah, to
4.4,
make this is 4.4 restarting. Oh, this cannot make it into the next release, right? So for
No.
the 4.5,
Yeah,
for
go
the
ahead, sorry.
in order for the 4.5 to make into the next release, when is the cutoff date?
So 4.5, it's separate because since this API changes, it will we have a feature freeze already. Like we cannot include new features, but we can include bug fixes. But at the same time, we can cut the release independently of Kubeflow. I mean, if we realize that 4.5, you need to have it like in maybe in the next couple of weeks or maybe relatively soon, we can just cut a new release, for example, 1.8.1, which will include this fix, right? So Kubeflow doesn't block us. If we see that it's actually give a lot of value for end users, we can just cut a new maybe patch release, right? After we're making the 1.8.0, right? Because this is like the breaking change, and usually like not breaking, like the new feature, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, usually we don't include new features after we're making the first RC, right? So only bug fixes or pending PRs, right?
Got it.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks.
Yeah, let's move on. And by the way, like Francisco, since you're here, like from the fee side, do you have any questions from fees that you want to discuss, or you just like want to follow up on the training operator discussion?
No, I mean, I'm happy to spend a little bit of time talking about the fee side of things. Probably at the end.
Okay.
The core thing I
Sure.
did want to focus on was just on this training aspect.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because I also like follow up with Willem recently, so maybe we can have a quick discussion around this. So, okay,
Yeah.
so she also like added this KFP.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So this one I think might be pretty quick. Right now, as we are trying to get more and more users using KFP with the training operator, one of the main things that keeps popping up is like, what's like an easy, like integrated way to use it. So far I've said, hey, like, we have the training operator SDK, there's the Kubeflow Pipelines SDK, just like write your own code and glue it together. User feedback has not been great on that. So, just like maybe some feedback or like maybe something we can like think about is like, how do we make that path easier or document it better in a way that's not like, write your own code.
So can you elaborate a little bit like why the new way of submitting the jobs is hard for them? I'm talking about, so if you go to kubeflow.org, right? So we have a new way of how people can submit the jobs. They can just specify the training script in the function, right? And submit it using the create job API. So do you say like the feedback on this kind of like workflow was not easy or like it was hard for them? or they require
I don't
something?
think they said it was hard. They want something even easier or more obvious than this. I can ask them like for specific reasons on why this wasn't sufficient, but like that's kind of what I pointed to them at too, was like, hey, here's these docs. It might just also be a matter of like we don't like there's not a good sort of like combined like sample. They can just look at it and say like, hey, here's a pipeline that's running and it's calling out the training operator, and now you're monitoring the job from your pipeline. And then like once the training job is completed, it does A, B, and C, right? It continues with the pipeline.
So do you use like open source component for training operator in KFP? I'm talking about so if I go to Kubeflow pipelines, right? We have this components folder.
Oh,
Here we have Kubeflow. Here we have launcher, I believe PyTorch, maybe launcher. So are you using this one?
I'm gonna take a look at that. I'm not sure if they are. I wasn't actually aware of this one either, so this is very helpful. I'll take a look at this.
And
This is
this
actually
is
exactly.
yeah.
Okay.
This is very outdated, and this doesn't have any features of SDK, where basically we're serializing the function as the input of our API. So user doesn't need to define anything rather than just what function they want to run, how many workers they want to like, create. Similar to if you're familiar with Ray, so in Ray train, you have the similar kind of concept with the torch trainer, where you basically pass the function and how many workers you want to run and the resources. And also it has an ability to install like packages on the runtime. Like if you want to install transformers, or like PyIceberg or anything else, right, you want to use. So also this function can give you an ability to just even pass like the image without even like constructing the YAML spec. So, modifying this KFP component with the new SDK would be very helpful, I think. But if your users have any specific, bad feedback on this, let us know. Yeah, go ahead, Ricardo.
So let me see if I get it right. The code you just showed is outdated, so it doesn't use KFP v2, and there might need some code changes to have it working on v2.
I think so, yeah. I think that's true as well. So I'm not sure if this component is actually workable with v2. Yeah.
Can we work on a working example for KFP v2 that could be useful? I mean, I don't believe there will be much time for KFP v2 to still be you know, there's a deadline to stop using v1 and start using more v2. So what could be the effort to migrate this code from v1 to v2?
Yeah, like I don't have just bandwidth to work on this, Ricardo. Like, I mean, if you can, help us to maybe create this tracking issue to update these components and like update them to the v2. Maybe some of them already updated, like I'm not 100% sure. I know that James previously have some of the examples using the v2, for example, this E2E MNIST. So here in the E2E MNIST, I think we're using the v2 of KFP, and here we're using, so this is Katib, this is TF job task. So I think here we're using this new launcher TF job, right? But the problem is like they're still not really user friendly. So you have to like define your spec here, right? You have to define this JSON. So there is no ability to just pass the function right as the input or anything else. So we need someone who can work on this and improve these components in upstream.
And
and
this is a problem with the SDL, with the KIP DSL, right? I mean,
no,
those awful structures.
It's not a problem with KFP DSL. We just need to see what is the right way of data scientists to use KFP with training operator SDK, right? So how we want to pass this with this function, or we need to just give them ability to pass a Docker. So we just don't have bandwidth to work on this, see how this component should be structured, right? Does it make sense? So right now it is not data science friendly. Like we want to make this very data science friendly, so they don't really need to know anything about Kubernetes. They just define the PyTorch training function, and they just use the one Python SDK to pass this function to their PyTorch job workers, right? And they can distribute it across multiple GPUs. This is very simple to
Okay.
use. We just need to see how this will apply on KFP side of things, right?
Yeah. So would this issue lie on the pipeline side or on the training operator side? And this isn't to say that someone from that community needs to work on it, but just where should we be tracking this?
So on a component, you can create an issue on the training operator side. So you can say we need to improve the KFP component for training operator, right? And then we can see how we can, allocate some resources to work on this, right?
Okay, cool. Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, so any other questions?
One kind of my 2 cents on this, Anish, it probably would be helpful for us to get maybe a doc with the feedback outlining specifically what were the drawbacks. Because if I look at the docs from the Kubeflow training operator, that's as like ideal of a situation for a data scientist as I could imagine, for them to like not have to deal with a Docker image. They'll have an optionality to if they really wanted to, and just kind of adding a function. That's about as simple as I think it would ever be able to be. And my guess is just passing in like a file path to the training data, and then it just does.
Yeah, there are like multiple. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Angel.
No, yeah, I was gonna say like I agree with you, but like that's kind of what I was saying too to them.
Something.
But like,
okay. No, that's super helpful. Yeah.
And I just want to make sure like there wasn't any updated documentation or examples I was missing when I talked to them and said like, hey, here's what you should be looking at.
So
Often,
yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry, Francis, go ahead.
No, oftentimes even like what I've and not in a judgmental way, but just what I've observed is that people will want example with their specific algorithm just because it helps them just feel better, even if it's the same logical structure. So it might just being that. So yeah, once we take it down, once we take down the notes, I think it'll become a lot more clear what the bottleneck is.
Yeah, so yes, that's true. And we tried to, like, for the last 2 years, we tried to work to simplify the experience of using Kubeflow in general. So, with this new fine-tuning API for LLMs, when the users don't even need to create a fine-tuning function. So we do everything by themselves, providing just the Python APIs where they define the model data sets and the, like, for example, LoRa parameters or PEP parameters, right? LoRa config. So we try to simplify this, like how to transfer this to KFP components is a separate discussion, because there is a set of users using training operator independently, just using SDK, and we also have people using this as part of the pipeline, right, in the KFP, right, to run the distributed training task. So we need to like work with all of you to see how we can improve this launcher and make it native integration for data scientists, right? So they can easily plug in like multiple sub components, right? All right. Any other questions so we can move on? Okay, so we have several things as well. So I want to also speak about this new job set proposal and our collaboration with Bash working group. So before I move on to this, so Ricardo, I think you added you want to quickly discuss the training infra, right? So just to give everyone context, like since Kubeflow right now is part of CNCF, we have an ability to use the CNCF provided infrastructure for testing. I guess we just need to apply for their resources. And from my understanding, we can even just use the enterprise GitHub account to improve our GitHub action workflows. So Ricardo, do you want to add anything from your side on this?
Yeah, I don't believe we need to start a discussion here, maybe on the general community call. I think the only open questions we have for now is that I think one of the things we were discussing is that if the other working groups are free to choose between GitHub Actions and Pro jobs, and if it's supported by CNCF, otherwise we need to figure out, we need to open broad that discussion with the general committee to discuss if you want to adopt GitHub Actions or Pro jobs. I guess GitHub Actions will be the preferred choice, especially because it's easier to handle the jobs. It's easier to get access to all the task artifacts. But I think it's a broader discussion here. I think the question for the specifically for the training and AutoML working group is how you guys are doing CI/CD jobs. Is it using GitHub Actions and Prowl? And if it's not GitHub Actions, what could be the effort to transition those tasks to GitHub Actions?
So I think like we use GitHub Actions. We used Pro before, so I know that's I think Pipelines working group using Pro, but all other working groups using the GitHub Actions. So I don't think we're going to transfer to Pro unless like we find a very good agreement across all of working groups. But as Jonas said, I think on the last community call previously, we had a problem with using Pro and the infra that providing first of all by Google, then by AWS. Right now, they might be provided by CNCF, but we still need to find people who are going to maintain these clusters, right? And this might require some engineering effort, which we just don't have right now. That is why I think Actions would be preferable approach, at least on the stage of the project we have right now. And then just to see if we want to like evolve it, right? So
okay, I think the decision will be simple. The majority of people will adopt GitHub Actions. Maybe we can think of having the Pipelines working group to also adopt GitHub Actions. We on the Red Hat team is going to propose that to the Pipelines working group, so we're good with that. I'm curious about those hosted runners you were talking about. What's the biggest advantage of using those hosted runners?
Yeah, access to GPUs, right, and access to all the cloud resources, right, that we can have. And also like
that's interesting
to run training, because like previously we have to like cut our resources on CI/CD. Like for example, we cannot like for example run like BERT fine-tuning tests, right? Because it requires much more resources that GitHub can provide for the free version. So for this kind of test, we need more advanced hardware, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
All right.
I think it's good for this working group, but asking for more a wider audience for community, what would be the next action items here? Maybe propose that to the next community meeting to have that final discussion if GitHub Actions or Pro jobs will be the chosen one for CI/CD infra, and then open that ticket with CNCF to see what are the steps to have access to that infra.
So I think next step, just a short term should be like if we can apply for GitHub Enterprise, how easy for us to just get these resources. And if we have GitHub Enterprise, we will already get an additional resources for our CI/CD, right? Because we can run more parallel tasks. We can have more access, like we can have more access to we can basically our resources will have better resources, right, for GitHub Actions because of using enterprise GitHub. So my question is like we need to see if we just submit this request, who is going to add the Kubeflow GitHub as in their enterprise, right? So this is only like my first question that I have, right? But we can discuss it with the community as well, Ricardo.
Yeah, but I believe those questions you're posing are good for a ticket with CNCF, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
So can I ask you to bring that topic to the KSC meeting to see who can open that ticket with CNCF and get more details on the GitHub Actions infra?
Did you try to ask them if anyone from the community can submit this ticket, or steering committee should submit it?
Someone should be listed as a maintainer for the Kubeflow project and
Mhm.
have an account in their ticketing system. I tried that to get that account, but they asked me to do all that steps. I need to become maintainer of the Kubeflow project, and there are other steps that involves putting me as like some sort of ownership of the community as such. So that's
So
why
can you
I posted that question. I can give you the whole content of the email I got from the CNCF, and then we can discuss all of these topics.
Yeah, because like I can definitely bring up this to PSC, but the question is like you probably need to let us know about the requirements for people who can submit this ticket. For example, like for me, I'm not sure if I have enough time to do it right now. But like if you have time to at least like let us know what requirements you have to submit this ticket. We can work together to see whether we can delegate the requirement, like give the requirements to you, basically give any specific things you need to submit this ticket, or we can ask someone else to submit the ticket, right? From
Yeah.
our side. Okay.
I'm willing to help with whatever it needs to get this CI infra,
Okay.
because I'm very interested to move to GitHub Actions, especially on the pipelines working group. So
Okay.
I'll share with you all the instructions I got from CNCF, and then we discuss if it's possible for me to get access to that ticketing system, and I can open a ticket myself.
Right. Thank you, Ricardo. Yeah, maybe I know we have 2 more minutes, but maybe quickly. So I think I just want to give a heads up about like what we're doing with the Batch working group to anyone else here on the call. So recently the Batch working group created this new workload called JobSet. We try to see, so the thing is like they try to make Kubernetes a better platform for run distributed training tasks. And we try to collaborate with them just to understand like what should be the future of JobSet, what should be the future of training operator, and how we should collaborate together to build a unified infrastructure for people who want to do distributed training on top of Kubernetes. So we created this proposal. Maybe if you're interested, you can review this offline. But the idea is to collaborate between like training working group and batch working group, and provide a unified way for people to run distributed training tasks on Kubernetes. Because there is some debate around whether PyTorch job should exist, or we should just use JobSet for everything. But at the same time, it has some cons around like what if some specific framework might require some orchestration like API. What if, for example, PyTorch has elastic mode, how we can support it in the job level, right, in the JobSet level. And for example, like in the fine-tuning way of how we design this API recently in terms of the model and dataset distribution using the shareable PVC, can we also implement this inside the job set, or it should live separately? So please review this proposal and let me know if you have any specific questions to this. But we try to, just to give you the heads up, we try to collaborate with these folks to provide a unified way of running the jobs on Kubernetes. Any questions? I know it's maybe like just don't have time to review it, but any specific questions you might have for this? All right, that's fine. So just take a look. Feel free to add your comments and your suggestions here. But I hope that, like in the future, we can provide a better way of people who can use Kubernetes, who wants to use Kubernetes as the primary platform for AML. Yeah, and so I know we're over time. Do you have any other questions? We might don't have time to discuss Feast with you, Francisco, but anything you want to say before we close up?
Yeah, I mean, oh, go ahead, Ted.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, just one quick question. Is the Slack channel the best way to ask questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Like the Kubeflow training
Oh.
operator, or yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks. Great.
Thank you.
Andre, in terms of Feast, I think yeah, for ML serving, I see a really good for case serve, I see where Feast fits really, really well. For the training operator, like I don't think that there's as much of an urgent need for that to really matter as much. I mean, like it matters as much as your like training data, right? And like how that maps to like your training operator and the hyperparameters that you put into it. But beyond that, I don't really think that KTO really needs to care. If I'm to be super honest, I could be wrong, but I don't think that it needs to care nearly as much as Kserve might. Like other than taking as input, like, hey, look, these are the features that are being used, but that's more of an input matrix, which is already handled, is my guess. But those are my initial high level thoughts. I'm sure that we can probably have a much healthier discussion about it, though, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I remember previously we've been discussing about like automated feature engineering, like the project like Microsoft NNI. And so I think it's called Neural Network Intelligence, something like this. They basically implemented some of the automated feature engineering algorithms, which is part of AutoML, which helps you to actually automate the feature generation. I think it would be nice to see like how, Fizz is more kind of metadata storage, right? More
Right.
so feature store, right? But the machinery of, Katib or other like Kubeflow components could help people to, integrate these tools together, right? Better. We just don't have the support there yet right now.
No, I see
But
what
eventually, yeah, good.
that's a pretty advanced use case is kind of candidly what my experience tells me.
Yeah.
But I do think that there would be utility in that. I don't know whether that's something that we would want to race to at the minute. I think we'd probably want to have a smooth integration with Feast within Kubeflow first, and then we
Yeah.
could probably add that on top.
And so do you know, like, Francisco, in terms of the feast right now, the status, right? I saw like some movements there in terms of the releases, right? And discussions around like CNCF. So do you have any kind of updates what the feast community is doing right now? And
Actually, I'm
what
drafting a newsletter update that I'll publish, and I'll actually see if I can share it to the Kubeflow community as well. Then,
Okay.
yeah, we published some. So TechCon, they kind of
Yep.
got focused on their own stuff, and that was part of the reason I became a maintainer back when I was at a firm.
Yep.
And we've been actively making developments on it, and so
Yep.
me and a few other folks, some from Red Hat, some from other institutions, have been making a lot of progress. So there's a lot of really great work going, and we're looking to get it to like a stable 1.0 version released. And so we're cutting new releases as we speak. It's a little bit hectic there just because the new maintainers are getting onboarded, but
Yep.
it's starting to pick up momentum, fortunately.
Yeah, makes sense. Maybe we should have a follow-up in terms of the future, right? Because right now, because of the energy around like Spark operator, model registry, and I guess like we see that Kubeflow is some sort of like ecosystem of the cloud native project for AML lifecycle.
Right.
And just to see how, I mean, even like Ksurf, right? Like Ksurf is like kind of independent GitHub work, but we really have a strong collaboration between the communities. And
Yeah.
I guess like for we probably need to do the same because I see a lot of, interest of multiple players who want to use Fist in production, and I guess like like maybe we can follow up offline, and also I can invite William and other folks from my team just to see like what are your perspective on Fist and how we can bring some community closer in terms of the because we have the similar goals right in mind what we're doing there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll share with you some docs that I wrote before I became a maintainer for Feast and what intended goals I had. And then, we can also share with you like the most recent blog post that I've been working very closely with Willem since basically all that stuff went down to start to kind of reinvigorate Feast. So let me DM you on the Slack channel some stuff.
Yeah, I think that would be nice. Right. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
So thanks, Ron. Any else questions? I know we're at time. Sounds great. So, all right. Thank you. Thank you, Saran. So speak to you soon, speak to you in 2 weeks, and let's follow up on Slack for other like remaining items for the release. See you soon, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Bye-bye.